Welcome, dirty peasants, to episode 17 of the Wartwood Gazette podcast. This week we'll be covering Amphibia Season 1, episode... Hey, what episode are we on? Oh no. Episode 8, Contagi-Anne and Family Shrub. I'm your host, Thumbaticon, and joining me today we have Ben.
Hey.
And Lemur.
Hello.
So, after last week where we got a bunch of news, I have a feeling that we're probably gonna get some, radio silence from Amphibia news for the next, few weeks until the what's that thing called where they at the beginning of the month they give out the scheduling.
Promo cards. I call them promo cards. Like where there's a picture and then there's the release dates for each episode and then the description.
Yeah, I think it's scheduling. I'm not sure what the proper name is, but yeah,
they
give it
promo cards. I call them promo cards.
Yeah, they give it out maybe a week or two before the actual month. So for October, we'll probably get proper promo descriptions, episode descriptions, maybe a week or two before the season airs.
Yeah, it's 3 weeks minimum before the premiere, if I recall correctly.
Okay. So, I guess with that aside, we can go right into the first episode, or the first segment of this episode, which is Contagi-Anne. So, Contagi-Anne is written by Michelle Cavan, storyboards by Drew Applegate and Cheyenne Curtis, and directed by Derek Kirk Kim, and animated by Sunman Image Pictures. So the episode starts out with Anne. It's raining, so she wants just to sit in and just relax. And then just when she gets comfortable, Hop bursts in, demands Anne get up, and then they're preparing. Since the storm is so bad, they have to go outside and make sure all the crops are okay. But then Anne doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to work. So she pretends to be sick by making up an illness called mocha latte.
Yeah.
So the planners, buying the act, they let Anne rest at home while they go out and do all the chores. And then we get a montage of Anne just goofing off while the planners are doing all the work. Then the planners come back, and then Hop and Polly look legitimately sick. And then eventually the same thing happens to Sprig as well. They show a bunch of symptoms. And Anne tells the planners that she'll take care of them, even though she's sick. Not really. She's sick as well. So then, Anne we get a little quick mini montage of Anne trying to help out the planners. Then eventually she starts cooking some kind of soup. And then she throws in some red mushroom. And then she feeds it to the planners. And then all of a sudden, Hop starts getting his feet turn red. And then after checking some book, we find out that it's a disease called red leg, which slowly the color rises up through the body, and then they don't say die, they just say they leave this ungrateful world. And then the cure for this red leg is a pond on top of a mountain called the Peak of Health. So then Anne decides to take the planners there to get them better. So we get to the mountain, and it's this perilous journey. Not too perilous. They climb up a steep slope, and then they get to a bunch of geysers that they have to that they gotta avoid. So then the cart gets smashed by a geyser, and then Anne has to drag them all. So Anne basically drags. Once we get past the geysers, we also get like a bunch of stairs that are for like meant for frogs. So like Anne decides to like take a shortcut with some kind of like giant mosquito. They get inside the pond, but then they realize it's not working. And then so the Anne so the planners pretty much have their final moments with Anne. And then eventually like Anne admits that she wasn't sick. But then the planners are still like comforting her, like, oh, it's okay, like they don't take it personally. They just think that she would have gotten more sick, and then we have this brief moment where the planners like fold their arms up and lay back and apparently like and pass away, but that doesn't happen. So then they check the book again and realize that there's a mushroom that has the exact same effects as the disease red leg, but just doesn't kill them. So then Anne's overjoyed, and then the episode ends with them like with Anne embracing the planners while Hop Up thinks about the fact that that mushroom was used to like pretty much clean the house. It's like a cleaning product, and that's Contagion. So this episode, like the previous episode we covered was like Anne vs. Wild. I'm not going too off tangent. I just want to bring up how like last week's episode was that Anne wanted to be involved with the planners, like in the planners' lives and do stuff with them, whether she liked it or not. And then we have an instance right after where Hop Hop gives Anne the chance to do something with them, and she just dips out. So like that nitpick aside, it was still a hilarious episode where like we get a lot of we get a lot of morbid jokes with Hop Hop just insisting on like dying at every slight inconvenience. And it definitely reminds me that like Anne still has like a lot to improve on, which makes it all that better when we once we get to season 2 when we see how much Anne's like how far Anne's come. But then other than that, like yeah, the jokes are funny. The plot is it was nothing like groundbreaking. It's just Anne pretending to be sick and then looking after the planners, which is nice that like right after like she immediately feels guilty and then like at least tries to like put everything aside to like try and try and take care of them, and then willing to like climb up the mountain and get beat up, which is like a running like I guess a running theme for Anne is that every time Anne screws up, she either gets her ass kicked or at least like does whatever she can to like amend things. But Ben, what were your thoughts on this segment?
Um, well, yeah, first off, I liked the episode. Um, but yeah, it was lighthearted, but it was also kind of dark in a way. The fact that Hot Pop is just like so willing to just crawl off into the corner of the house and die under a bit of newspaper without even like trying to put anything in order for like Sprig or Polly when he's like the main caretaker of them. And like at the end when they're all waiting in the water and like on their backs, um that kind of felt like that was a touching moment because like I mean you don't really know if they're actually gonna die. I mean, they're obviously not. It's only season one, halfway through the season. But like, you don't know that, and so it's kind of leaving you in suspense, but then the show's like, then Hop Pop's like, is anyone still alive? And Polly's like, yep. Sprig's
Oh,
like, still here.
Hop Up said, "Is anyone dead yet?"
Or yeah, and then Polly's like, yep, and Sprig's like, still here. And then Hop Pop's like, Sprig, give me that book. And so that's when he learns the cleaning mushroom was what mimics Red Leg, and he like has some trauma when realizing that it cleaned Bessie's stable, and like it was put in the soup, so he probably ate all the grime that was in Bessie's.
Yikes.
So that's pretty gross. But
Yeah, like
yeah,
it was a really
was-
morbid episode.
it was morbid, but it was like lighthearted morbid in a way. Yeah. Lemur, what did you think about it?
Okay, so I have something to say about like Dom's like original criticism about this one episode, about like how Anne's behavior in the beginning in this episode contrasted to what we learned from Anne vs. Wild. Yeah, like how she immediately dips out from hanging out with the planters, from spending time with them. When the last episode, we see Anne doing everything to just hang out with them. But here's the thing, though. With Anne vs. Wild, it's an activity that she wants to do with them because it looks like fun, and not only because she wants to hang out with the planters, but also because she thinks that camping with them would be fun. Here, on the other hand, though, like she has to work, even though she has to spend time with the planters. It also involves a lot of work that she really doesn't want to do outside of the rain, where she'd possibly die. Like, I don't really blame Anne from it's kind of weird from seeing her be like this after the previous episode, but I can't blame her for saying no. Like, yeah, some people would definitely want to say no from that, even though she still likes them regardless. She wouldn't risk herself from, I guess, getting herself hurt or just work in the middle of a freaking rain. Like, who wants to do that? Like, why can't the planners just do it the day prior? Unless it's... But then again, like, they don't have a solid method of determining the weather of the world. They're still pretty primitive. They're still pretty primitive, despite technological advances that we've seen from the show. And then again, this is Frog Valley, which is a place that is kind of separated from the larger world of Amphibia, so I can understand that. Yeah. Aside from that, sorry, continue.
Sorry, Lena, to interrupt. Like, the point of the reason they were going outside was that they want to cover the crops to prevent the rain, the storm from destroying them.
Yeah, but they could have just done that or an earlier day. But like I said, they have no way of predicting the weather, so I can understand them going outside, because it's an unpredictable. Amphibia is very unpredictable. Even the frogs themselves do not know what's going on most of the time in their world. But aside from that, yeah, this is actually a really enjoyable episode for me personally. I really again. I think despite the earlier blunder, I guess.
Setup.
Yeah, the setup that is weird. I still really like how how this episode shows how much Anne really cares about the planters. yeah, she already feels guilt about leaving him behind, like them getting actually sick, and then her doing her best to actually solve the issue immediately afterwards. That's great development. Like, I don't think that the Anne we know from like the first episode of the series probably not new. So that alone, so that this episode alone really showcases the amount of development that Anne already has in the show already, which is great, and that really, and I think that really carries the development from Anne versus Wild actually kind of nicely here. And like, the humor here is like astonishingly great. I think this is one of the first. I think this is one of the very first instances where the show really showcases its dark humor. Like, we've seen episodes like this before, but I think this is one of the first episodes where it's really in its full force. Like Hop Pop's like lackadaisical acceptance of death is just it's both disturbing and yet funny at the same time. And I don't know why. Like, Amphibia gets dark humor, which is unsurprising considering, the predecessor of the spiritual. This is like, Amphibia is considered to be one of the spiritual successors of a certain show. Like, even then, it like I don't. The antics in this episode is just really hilarious. Like, the entire journey itself to the mountain is just comedy gold. Like, and even when it's funny, like, you can still it still has that sincerity of that is the show is known for, because while it is like the journey itself is hilarious, like I said, Anne is doing her best to save the planters because she really does care about them, and I really like that. It's a balance of this episode has a great balance between humor and heartfelt sincerity, which is something that a lot of shows don't really have. Yeah, overall, I think Contagion is a very fun episode, even though it has a very questionable setup. It's a very as an overall episode, it's very solid.
Thank you, Lemur. And like, yeah, I like that. What I don't get is that, so Bessie's pulling them all. We've seen how fast Bessie could be, but then like
Oh,
Anne is like Bessie will be too slow, and then she just decides to like drag like the planners with the cart, and we get that funny moment where there's like some random alligator that just like starts biting her foot, and then like birds start attacking her. Like, I just don't get like why didn't like Bessie could have pulled them, but whatever.
you can argue like the route could be a little too small for Bessie, but then again,
Yeah, eventually, like once the mountain gets like once the journey gets more like vertical, it makes sense. Yeah, like Anne would take over.
That's why I accepted that.
Oh, also, I want to mention the beginning where Hop-Up's like, Anne, this is the third time I called you, and then Anne's like, no, it's not, and then Hop-Up's like, oh, that's the first time I'm calling you. Like, I don't know why. That's a funny moment.
I wanna. Okay, it might just be me, but like, I feel like when Hop Hop says like calls Anne, he says like Anne Newt. Is that? Did anybody else hear that, or am I just being crazy right now? Like, it's like Anne Newt. This is
I
the
want to
third
play. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
time I'm calling you or something. I might just be crazy.
Like,
go ahead.
I want to play it back, but then like it's gonna go into the audio. So like I didn't hear Anute when I didn't hear like anything like that when
I don't
I
know.
listened to it.
I might just be hearing things.
Yeah, I don't think there's a mention of newts in this episode.
No, that's next episode.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, Anne does like. Well, her stature does make her similar to a nude.
Yeah.
Oh, Hop Pop's very direct in this episode, where like it's like I'm pulling up the transcript for this. I know he says something like, "Oh, it'll be hours of backbreaking character building work" or something.
Yes, he did say
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
And
thankless, hard character building labor.
Wait, tankless?
Thankless, yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then later on, he mentions like when Anne says she'll take care of them, like Hop Pop's like, "Oh, that's uncharacteristically helpful of you or generous of you."
Yeah, because I think at this point, like, they're not that used to like Anne
They're not,
being.
yeah, they're not used to Anne helping around the house. Other than that one time we
Yeah.
saw her like plucking weeds.
Yes. Because yeah, she's still like I think she's still at the point where she's still like she's still more of a um settler. Like what do you call
I mean,
those?
a
Sorry.
like a guest or hostel.
Yeah, like a guest, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I argued that like Anne became part of the family like in Anne versus Wild, but like
Yeah,
that
but like
that's understandable. Yeah,
mhm.
but the fact that Hop Pop like went to grab Anne to do this work, then I'm guessing like he wouldn't ask a guest to help with this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I actually do think that Contagion yeah, I think Contagion really decently follows up Anne versus Wild personally for me. Is if like I said, like Anne from the first season wouldn't do this. Like now she's becoming more involved with the family ever since Anne versus Wild. Even though she does it reluctantly sometimes.
And we got not one, but we got two montages in this episode where like the first montage was just like Anne goofing around, and then like I don't know if you call it a montage, but like that brief moment of like Anne looking after the planners. Would you consider that a montage?
Mm,
Uh,
I don't think so. I feel like it's more like
no,
small
it was just
instances. Yeah.
like her helping each of the planters. Like she helped
Yes.
Hop Hop, and then she helped Polly, then she helped
And so,
Sprig.
Mm-hmm.
but the first one was definitely a montage.
Yes, because there's different music. there's,
Wait,
it's, def-
and Anne was
it's
like
definitely
trying on Sprig's clothes.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
legendary gift. Ah man, what a
Like,
And
and then
also
we got
like or, go ahead.
oh, go ahead, Ben.
Also like each of the planters like they don't really get like the same like illness from the rain. Like Hop Hop just gets like
Sweaty, sticky.
really sweaty, sticky, and then like Polly just gets like in inflamed eyes, and Sprig just like loses control of his tongue and keeps attacking Hop Hop, and Hop Hop multiple times is just like, "Dang it, boy!"
Yeah, we got
to be.
two in this episode.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, he says "Dang it, boy" like twice.
Although wouldn't like frogs be like more at home with the rain? Although like you said, like what Pop Pop said, it's different.
Sprig says that he's like, "Hop
Yeah,
Hop,
they're
we're
frogs.
frogs. We should
Yeah.
actually be taking off our clothes."
Mm-hmm.
And then and
Yeah,
then
but then
Hop Hop's like, "Put your pants on, boy."
oh shit.
I mean, I agree with Sprig. Like, why are you even wearing clothes at all, like your frogs.
Yeah, but there's a
Oh,
human.
natural.
I mean, I guess they're anthropomorphic frogs, so
Yeah,
they got a
true.
bit of humanness to
Mhm.
them.
And then Hop Up did say that it's no different like rain. It's not like it's a different kind of rain because
And
it's a
then Wally just
thunderstorm.
gets attacked by a
Doors destroyed.
random log.
Yeah, but then we see Wally just walking like through the rain, and he gets pelted by a trunk.
Yeah. Poor Wally.
Poor Wally. He'll get his time soon.
His moment of fame.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Anne's watching Ab Snatchers. That's just another funny like thing she has downloaded on her phone.
Ab snatchers. Oh, fuck. Dude, I keep forgetting that Anne is a teenager, bro.
I can't wait to see like what short little TV snippets we see in season 3. Because like we got Ab Snatchers, Suspicion
Suspicion
Island,
Island.
that movie in the one episode between
Like the
two
ballerina
groups.
one.
Like the
No, I think it's the
between
shipping
the
one.
deer and the
Oh, yeah,
cyborg guy.
Oh, yeah, that one. The one with the shipping, right?
Yes, like on Earth, like they'll have access to like unlimited
Yeah, they'll have all the
media.
TV
Yeah,
and
new
YouTube.
episodes of Suspicion Island. There's probably going to be an episode about the frogs just binge watching Earth media.
Yeah.
Junk reality TV.
Yeah, like junk TV, as Sasha gracefully called them.
And then
What else is there?
I like the detail of how they added like a brick to Polly so that she wouldn't like fly away.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, she's a ball. Like she could be. Right, because she's so light too, and small. She could definitely be flown away.
The
Also,
backgrounds for the
or
go ahead, Ben.
also like when Polly says like, "Who will take care of us?" Like, I don't know about you, but that was like when that voice actor said that was like that tugged at my that tugged at something there for a moment. It was like that was pretty sad. Like that was emotionful. But go ahead, Thumb.
Oh, like yeah, it was. Yeah, even though the ending was played for laughs, it was still kind of like the planners really thought that like this was the end for them, and they were like surprisingly like content.
Yeah, because Amphibia is such a dangerous place that could die any moment. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were actually content with dying.
And then like Polly like very weakly like she's like telling Anne like in her dying breath like you're a hero, and like
That just
that just like breaks Anne to like reveal the truth and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yes. Sorry.
no, go ahead, Lemur.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, like, yeah, I think that's really, it also showcases how I repeated this multiple times already, but like, I think Contagi-Anne is like another example of how Anne has really been slowly being accepted as Planter. And like, Polly saying that is like another great example of it. And it wouldn't stop there because Next episode is also going to be about that too. We'll talk about that later.
What's the next episode?
Family Shrub.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like next week. Okay, yeah.
No. The next segment.
I mean, other than that, like, I just wanted to bring up that like the backgrounds for this episode. Like once we get to the peak or the mountain, it was really like nicely done, very tranquil.
Yeah.
I just like how the dude. I just saw the freaking like the scene where the planters are like accepting their dead and just lying. It's fucking it's really hilarious, dude.
Oh, you're talking about like the pose when they like go off into the
Yeah,
water?
the pose
Yeah.
where they like just lie down. I just this show is so morbid. It's so hilarious. I don't know why.
Oh.
Like it's
Yeah, I also liked when like Anne is Anne's taking them through like the geysers.
mhm.
Like Bill Farmer, he's just screaming.
I feel like this is another episode where just like overdone stuff. Like it's so like they put way too much effort into something that is so simple.
It's very over the top.
Yeah, it's over the top, but it works so well. Like it's not over pretentious. It just works.
I guess this is a good time to go on to the next episode, Family Shrub. Unless do you guys
Yeah.
I think we've covered
Yeah, that's
everything.
good.
Yeah, there's like in the grand scheme of things, there's really nothing much to discuss about this episode. It's just a very fun and solid episode with some nice developments along the way.
Yeah, I thought that was it was okay. But I guess
Yeah.
moving on to Family Shrub.
Yeah.
So Family Shrub is written by Geneva Mai, storyboard by Aaron Austin and Hannah Ayobi, and directed by Bert Yoon. So the episode starts with the planters working on their version of the family tree, which is the planter family shrub. So Sprig and Polly aren't that enthusiastic about working on it because they think their family lineage, I guess, is kind of boring. And Anne's like totally not interested because like she's not she doesn't she thinks there's nothing for her to really do since she's not technically a planter. But then Hop Pop like rightfully points out that you don't need to be blood to be a planter. So like Hop Pop like tries like hyping up some of like their relatives, but then like fizzles out. And then eventually they run out of glue, so then Hop Pop goes to the store to grab some glue and then just tells like the kids to stay there. So Hop Pop leaves, Sprig and Polly are just like venting about how like their family isn't interesting. Then Sprig just like he moves around and then like he conveniently like presses like a button or he presses a painting that happens to have like a button which opens up like a secret passageway where the fireplace used to be or where the mantle used to be. So they of course head down because it's looks dark, dangerous, and that's just how they operate. They go down, the door closes behind them, so they just have to go forward. The first room they find some sort of like laboratory or storage, like some kind of like storage area for like experiments. And then they find out that this room belonged to one of their ancestors, Skip Planter, who like did all sorts of like I guess tests. And then Sprig pulls a lever and that like reveals this like mutated like pumpkin monster and then like Sprig befriends it or loves it to like tame it, but then eventually he just betrays it and like kicks it back into the cage. Then they fall down, like the floor breaks underneath them. They fall down. Then they find the second room, which is some sort of like armory, which belonged to one of their aunts, like Aunt Pollyanna, who was like this like fierce warrior. So here, like they activate the defense, like not defense, the training simulator, and then like of course Polly being the I guess the warrior in the family, she like just starts like wrecking the training simulator, beats it, and then turns off the defense system, and they all run into the next room. And then the final room belongs to, I think it was Emma the Newt, and she was like she wasn't related to the planners, but then she became part of the family, and she had a bunch of like puzzles and board games in her I guess area. And then eventually like the exit is actually a puzzle that's similar to Anne's like game, which is a copy of Tetris. So then they try being the challenge, like the challenge starts, and then like the ceiling closes in on them, and then Anne eventually like figures out a way to, she beats the puzzle basically, and then they are able to escape. So while all this is happening, we have like Hop Pop just like comedically looking for glue. Boggle shows up to help him out. Then Hop Hop gets like trapped under all the glue, and then like just like some kind of weird like glue monster. As like it's all played for gags, and then we cut back to the planners. We cut back to the kids after they escaped, I guess, the underground, the underground levels of the planner home. They are like have a complete new outlook on their family tree. And then the episode ends with It ends with them explaining everything to Hop Hop, and then Hop Hop very enthusiastically decides to head down with Loggle glued behind his back, and then the kids rush off to help him. So that was Family Shrub, and it was a really fun episode. It was really interesting to see how the show. So like when we look back at season 1 after like watching season 2, there's a lot of instances where we can see where some of the stuff they've uh, established, the groundwork in season 1, pays off in season 2. This still feels like an episode that I think hasn't really like played up its significance just yet, and whether or not that'll happen, I think will either improve or hamper my enjoyment of this episode, which is still a great episode. But then when you think about it, there's some things. The overall main point of this episode was to show, I guess, that the planners, there's more to them than meets the eye. Transformers reference, sorry. But um, I guess it shows like whatever happens in the future from here on out, like whatever like dangers, when the dangers escalate, that the planners aren't like the planners are equipped to like maybe like deal with whatever obstacles come their way, because like all this like adventuring is in their blood, I guess. And I mean, it's worth knowing that like one of the ancestors, I think Sprig mentions that the scientist Skip Planter was their great uncle. So technically, that's either Hop Pop's like brother or brother-in-law, technically. And then the fact that Hop Pop, like, that we know as of 2 seasons, that Hop Pop was completely unaware of all of this, is kind of like was kind of odd to me. Well, it wasn't odd to me back in season 1, because we didn't know the extent of what Hop Pop knew. But then like even now after 2 seasons, I'm kind of surprised that he didn't know there's like the super underground, multiple levels of like for any Castlevania fans, like basically the planners are pretty much like the Belmont clan, where they're like this like super secret, maybe super feared family with like a large influence on probably the land, probably in Frog Valley, or maybe even Amphibia itself. So I think I've gone on too long. It's just that it was a good episode. The jokes were great. The plot was great, but I'm curious whether or not this is the last we've seen of this episode being referenced beyond maybe like a minor, just like a minor reference, but like actually something substantial. Those are my thoughts. I guess, Ben, what were your thoughts on this segment?
Okay. Uh, First things first. Yeah, good episode. A lot of great little jokes and stuff. Um, yeah, I gotta agree. Like how Hot Pop being 70 something years old, probably
Crisp
having
68.
or 68. Okay, having lived like in the house how long, and like probably doing how many renovations, like considering the basement got flooded, how like he didn't like they didn't like run into any of the underground rooms at all doing stuff in the basement, like either present day or in the past, is like kind of beyond me, because like seems like something you would maybe want your family to know about. Like they could use those areas just as
Like,
part of the house.
I'm guessing, like, sorry to interrupt, like, I'm guessing since, like, this is, like, a very, like, elaborately complex design system, I'm assuming they probably have a way of keeping the water out. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, maybe. Um, but I do like how at the start when Anne's like, Hop Pop, in my world we call this a family tree, and Hop Pop just straight up insults her, saying something like, well, your world is a bunch of weirdos or something. He just insults her, basically, just saying it's like weird.
Oh, that's because everyone in your world is crazy.
Yeah. And I'm just like, dang, Hop Pop. Like, um, let's see here.
Yeah, this is one of the few times I wish, like, Hop Up is pretty, like, involved with, like, the adventures with the kids, more so than, like, other shows we've seen, like, but this was, like, one instance where I really wish Hop Up had stuck with the group.
Yeah. And like, yeah, when Hop Pop's like at the store, he's like, he's for some reason like the only character who's shopping there at the moment, and for some reason it's just all glue.
Yeah, was it
Or
just, like, a glue store?
it didn't look like Loggle's shop from the Kane Crazy episode. So like maybe it was just like a craft store, but I think all they showed was just glue.
Yeah, like, you could see, yeah, the aisle was glue, and then, like, the aisle behind Loggle was also glue. That's... And they never showed us, like, a shot of the store, so we don't know, like, if this is like the normal, like one of the normal stores we've seen. But I'm pretty
Isn't it?
sure like they make up stores as they go along.
It was just a plot area,
Isn't
probably.
it like the exact same like isn't there like Hop? Doesn't Hop Wartwood have like a supermarket on it or something like a Kmart?
Yeah, the grub and go, but
Yeah, the
like they
grab and
never
go.
show.
I'm pretty sure it's the grab and go because it had the exact same like layout from what we see from Toad Tax.
Yeah, like I'm guessing that could also be like them reusing assets, but I'm just surprised. Like, why would they have that much? Like a whole aisle dedicated, like two aisles dedicated to glue, like a vertical aisle
I
and a
don't.
horizontal
Yeah,
aisle.
yeah. I don't know
Yeah,
any
frogs.
store in my area that has like an entire aisle dedicated to glue. Like
Frogs love their glue.
maybe one or two shelves, but like not an entire aisle.
Again, frogs love their glue, and their stuff gets destroyed most of the time. That I guess like an aisle full of
Yeah,
glue is actually plausible.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I guess that makes sense because they got mantis attacks and other monsters probably on the regular.
yep,
Yeah, they have to do a lot of repairing.
yep.
And if Chuck's able to Chuck the tulip growing guy is able to repair stuff so easily, it that makes sense why they would need a lot of
Yeah,
glue.
Mm.
So yeah,
we've rationalized
we
it.
we answered our question why there's so much glue.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Um, yeah. What else?
I mean, Ben, do you remember when the episode first aired? Like, I remember a lot of people were like, we were all really excited. Like, oh man, like the planners aren't just like farmers. Like, they actually have like a substantial amount of history like behind like in their family tree. And then we never learned about their parents, but
Yeah,
we
the,
at
the
least we
most
got to
we learn
know.
about their parents is that they were just, well, this is spoilers, everybody listening.
I
Uh,
mean,
they
yeah,
were
we know.
they were killed by the Herons or whatever,
Yeah, but
however
at this
long
point,
ago.
Yeah, but
yeah, but at this
this
point in
is like
2019,
Mhm.
we just didn't know anything about the parents, even though they're talking about family tree or family
yeah,
shrub.
and
Yeah.
also like
Did
this is
we
a
did
retrospective series.
did the shrub? Did we ever get a shot of the shrub that like showed their parents, or
I
We
don't think
was
didn't.
it
no.
just
As
no?
it would have like we would have been thinking about it by now.
I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, I don't think was Hop Pop showing the family shrub. I don't think so. I think
No,
it's
he
like
wasn't
I
showing
don't
that
think
either.
we
yeah,
ever.
yeah. The
I think
shrub is more like an ancestor. Yeah, it's for their ancestors,
But granted, they had Hop Pop's like they
parents.
had Spriggan Pop Pop's great uncle. So basically, like someone on Hop Pop's like
Hop Pop
age
side.
generation. Yeah.
Mm.
But Lemur, what were
Yeah.
your thoughts on the segment?
Alright, so I feel like this episode does something like something I rarely see on shows like this, where like they present this huge amount of this huge amount of like a huge location that has a huge amount of lore, and like it may have set up things in the future, but they present it in a way that it feels like it's not that important. Like like it's only relevant for the like this episode alone. But we all know that it's going to have a huge play on probably the future of the series. Uh, I agree with what said about how this episode's significance hasn't played out yet, although I have no doubts that it's going to play in the future, especially in season 3, when the pink frog and all of that stuff. And there's also like Sasha, okay, I may be a bit jumping the gun a bit, but I have a feeling that Sasha and Grime may found out about the secret underground tunnel sooner rather than later when they're settling in Wartwood. Because, yeah, there's also this episode to me. But the biggest takeaways for me from this episode are two. There are two takeaways from me. One is that the planners aren't what they aren't what they seem. They're not just farmers. They're adventurers, like a scientist, like a traveler, a warrior. They're not just contained in this one simple site, guys. And another thing that this episode tells me is that, and this is the episode that really solidify Anne as a member of the Planter family. If Anne versus Wild is the catalyst, this is the solidifier. Family Shrub is the solidifier, especially with the significance of Emma the Newt, who is someone who is not a frog, is not related by blood by the Planters, but still consider them as family regardless because of what Hop Pop said earlier. Blood is not what makes you a planter, it's the bonds that makes you a planter. And the significance of Emma the Newt being a planter is a comforting fact for Anne because it really shows that even if she's not a frog or related to the planters by blood, she is a part of the family now. And to me, that is what makes Family Shrub to me so important, regardless of the whole planter family lore, because this episode not only solidifies Anne's place in the planter family, but it also sets up for what comes immediately, what comes in the immediate future. And what I mean by that is the next two episodes that we're going to discuss. But yeah, aside from that, sorry, continue, Thumb.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I'm just thinking about ahead. I want to hear your thoughts first.
Oh, because like, I think I've mentioned this like in our chats, but like, this is an unpopular opinion. I did not like how like when we see Emma the Newt, the parallels to Anne are not they're not subtle at
They're
all.
not subtle. Okay, yeah, I can see.
Like Amphibia doesn't usually like Amphibia's usually tells you they're not. Amphibia doesn't always. Amphibia usually uses dialogue to like convey a point, but occasionally they do have like moments of subtlety, such as maybe like best bonds when Anne's making like the comparison in her head of like making Sprig her like best friend here compared to like Sasha and Marcy with like the photo. So Amphibia can be subtle, but like one of these moments, like this was a moment I think in the episode where they could have been. They didn't need to make a 1-to-1 comparison with Emma the New, like giving her like the same kind of like outfit and same hairstyle. That felt like kind of too on the nose for me because I feel like kids aren't that stupid. If they still had Anne talk about, she wasn't really a planner and she still was part of the family, like we people would have still gotten the point. And I think kind of making it so 1-to-1 kind of like made the moment less serious. Or not less serious, less like meaningful. And that's probably why like I'm so determined to like cling on to Anne versus Wild as the moment where like Anne becomes part of the family, because like I felt like here was like too like in your face.
Well,
But I
yeah,
know I know it's not. At least here in the episode, they literally say like Anne literally says she feels like she can be part of the family, and Sprig embraces her, and like, and yeah, it still works. I just it didn't need to be that. Uh, yeah, it just didn't need to be that like obvious for the audience, I think.
well,
But I
well, like,
understand.
well, yeah. I did say that this is the episode where they. Well, yeah, I still think that Anne versus Wild is the episode where Anne really becomes more of a planter. But like I said, this is the episode where it really just solidifies that fact even more. It's not the episode, but it's one of the episodes that hammers home that fact. Even though I can agree, it's a little bit on the nose. But yeah, I still think it's a fine. It's like the execution is fine for me because I don't because yeah for because I think we needed that for what's to come in the immediate future. Like I said,
I guess so.
Yeah. But
aside from that, I really do feel like the the planter underground is definitely going to play a part sooner rather than later. Hopefully, because I really doubt because
I'm not.
sorry, hold on.
Oh no worries. So like I guess continuing off Lemur's point, uh, like the inclusion of this episode in season 1 does not feels very intentional. They wouldn't, I guess, from maybe from a writing standpoint, you wouldn't just include this like very significant like having like basically like a bunker underneath the planner home, and the planners revealing to be like having this like history of having like a big influence on like the events of Frog Valley or Wartwood or Amphibia itself. It doesn't feel like it was just played for like a one-time gag. Like this feels like intentional inclusion to the show. And
yeah,
yeah, it wasn't even just the show could have just established just one of these like, I guess, one of these like caves. Like maybe the episode could have just focused on like just an underground lab, or just an underground like training armory, or just like a bunch of like research and puzzles and like, I guess, intelligence. And I and the fact that they included all of these in one episode, I feel like they want to show like the planners are very like well-rounded family. They aren't just like they have expertise in like multiple disciplinaries, if that makes sense. And actually, now that I think about it, like we have like the armory, which could represent like strength, and then you
yeah.
have like
That's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, strength, and then the smarts with
the lab.
the first area, and then the last area being like Anne's like heart or
I guess fun.
yeah, family fun area, like Emma the Nude exploring Amphibia.
Oh,
And
and
it was
like,
kind of like all three calamity powers.
and I guess for like Emma's room, this is Emma's room is probably where like all the planners would like probably hang out and stuff. So I guess you could attribute that to, I guess you could attribute that to heart, even though it could also apply to like wit. Like you could argue it's also wit, but in our, I guess, to justify our like our point, it could be heart.
Yeah.
But
I also like how each room, like, kind of tailored to each of the three, like Anne, Sprig, and Polly specifically, in a way.
yes,
Like each of them, like, interacted with it in a main way. Like Sprig dealt with that pumpkin monster by like just straight up betraying its trust and just making it love him, and then just kicking it back into its cage. And then,
love is the cruelest weapon of all.
yeah, Polly just went like berserker rage on the training dummies, and then Anne did her Tetris puzzle at the end there to have them all get out.
And like, I get the feeling that there's probably more rooms. Like, this isn't like the way they played it up, where like each planner got their own room. I'm
Yeah,
guessing there's probably more like tunnels. Like maybe it's like an entire network, which is an interesting
maybe.
thought. And maybe like, and that's the thing. Like the fact that Hop Hop didn't know about any of this, like I'm super like I'm kind of surprised that the show went that route. Like, it's like imagine like in season 2, Hop Hop's like, oh, this is my room, or like he chose the study to be his room. I don't know,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be surprised.
like I said
Oh, go ahead,
before,
Brandon.
yeah, he lived there for 68 years. He said he's 68, right?
Yeah,
Like, how do you not even stumble by it by accident? Like maybe dusting off the picture or something. Like,
I mean, later in season 2, we learned that like, or even end of season 1, we learned that Hop Hop like traveled a lot. So maybe he wasn't as like involved with the family. I have no idea, but like it's something I would expect Hop Hop to know, especially when he has like relatives in like his own in his own generation that were like engaged, like they had like their own like uh second lives outside being like farmers. And like maybe in Hop Hop's case it was him being an actor. I remember there were theories of like Hop Hop maybe being a spy, and then like the acting career is just like a cover up. Those
yeah.
were fun times.
And then season 2, we got an entire episode with him acting.
Yeah. And I think Polly in I think it was Bessie and Michelangelo. Like Polly brought up the armory again, where she like asked Hop Hop if she can like grab weapons from
Oh
like
yeah,
downstairs.
yeah. So it was kind of brought up again, but not too in detail.
Yeah, it wasn't like substantial.
Hmm.
Yeah, so Lemur, we were just talking about like the significance of like the like how like each planner and Anne were suited. Like it was tailored to each of them, and then
Hmm.
possibly there could be more rooms, and then how each of the rooms we saw could arguably like relate back to the Calamity Gens.
Oh. Hmm.
Because like the
Yeah.
first room being smart, second room being strength, and then the third one being like heart or family
Oh, yeah.
or
Oh.
whatever Anne's power is.
Oh, yeah. Wow, I just realized that. That's a actually good that's a good observation. Yeah, man, I really do think that this underground layer for the planters it's definitely going to play a part sooner rather than later. We'll probably know a lot about more. For me, I think we're going to learn a lot about the pink frog here. because this underground lair is like a landmine of is a mine of like planter knowledge of the past. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's any information about the pink frog here, assuming if she's like she's related. Yeah, if she's related to the planters, which I highly think so.
I hope they find a way to like connect her. And then when we get into this like weird gray area for me where I like the idea of the planners being like a grounded like family, but like just a regular farming family with like this like interesting past, but like I don't want them to be some kind of like royalty.
Well,
but I'm sure the show would find a way to like I'm sure that like the show will point out like, oh, just because like the frogs are descendants of like someone super important, that doesn't like change like what
Like,
their capability is.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. And I don't really think that the pink frog is royalty anyway. I feel like she's more of a personal friend
Of Andrea.
Yeah, a personal friend of Andrea's instead of actual member of royalty. Which that alone itself is actually really important.
Yeah, like she could have been just like another traveler, and then like she became friends with Andreas that way.
Mm-hmm. And the toad as well.
Beryl, oh, not Beryl, but hopefully it's Beryl.
Hopefully it is Beryl. I doubt. I 100% believe it.
But I wanted to cover. There's something else I wanted to bring up. We covered. Oh, I think Lemur, you mentioned like maybe Sasha and Grime.
Oh yeah,
would, like, discover this. Like,
yes.
part of I would like for them to I would like for them to discover this just to have like appreciation for the planners. But like the idea of them like of Sasha and Grimes staying at the planners like place while they're away kind of like I just from like from like a plot standpoint it makes sense, but like part of me is thinking like, but didn't Sasha and Grime like constantly try to betray them? It's like, and now they're sleeping in their house. Like, come on, like
Well, okay. To be fair, the Wartwoodians do not know what the heck happened to the castle, to Utopia.
Yeah, that makes it even worse. They don't tell anyone that they like tried to invade the capital, and then now they're just like casually sleeping in like Hop Pop's bed. Like,
okay, yeah,
Hop Pop gets back to Amphibia through sheer will because Grime's sleeping in his bed.
Well, I don't think they're gonna do that personally. I think they're gonna sleep in the basement personally or the couch.
Like Hop Pop feels like a disturbance in like the force, and he just like ground pounds. He ground pounds like a portal, like through sheer like a portal like under. He tears Earth apart like a crack between the tectonic plates, and then like pops out the other side into Amphibia.
He's like, get the F out of my
I didn't know you could do that, Hop Pop. What the heck?
There's a lot you don't know about me, Sprig.
You didn't know anything about me.
That's my secret. I'm always angry.
Although Sasha sleeping in the basement, just like Anne, would be a great parallel, though. You can't deny that.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Sasha was originally sleeping in like
in the jail cell,
modern amenities.
Yeah.
In Toad Tower, now she's like just in the normal area.
Although she spent some time in the jail cell before she started living like royalty.
I wouldn't
jail
say
cell, then royalty, then
important.
Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, like, I really do think that Sasha and Grime living in the planter household would be a great, like, growing experience for them, because not only it makes I guess Sasha like have an appreciation for the planters, but also for Wartwood as well, which is I do believe would be one of the major focuses of season 3, which is building Sasha's relationship with the Wartwood again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from wondering how much time they'll spend on, like, if they do spend time on that, like how, like, they'll find a way, I guess. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna doubt the crew.
And to be fair, Bessie and Michelangelo needs caretakers.
Oh
I mean,
shit. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Bessie can look after them. Like, Bessie's responsible. She's more
True,
responsible than Grime and Sasha, to be
True,
honest.
but like they're still animals, and they
Hey,
still
hey,
need.
whoa,
Wait,
No,
wait,
no, no,
wait,
no,
wait,
no,
cut
no,
back.
no. I meant in like in a practical sense, you know, like
Watch them
They're-
like come back to the farm, and Bessie and Michelangelo are just running everything perfectly.
yeah,
Like Bessie's just toiling the crops and just watering everything, and everything's
Bessie has to look after
nice.
Sasha and Grime.
Bessie and Sasha butt heads because Sasha tries to be commanding to like Bessie, and Bessie takes nothing from that.
Yeah, Bessie
don't
won't
take
Bessie
no
won't
shit.
take Sasha's. Yeah, she
Yeah.
don't take no shit from anyone.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I thought the podcast would be would be jeopardized.
Nah, it's fine. We need something to prevent YouTube from marking this as for kids.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
right.
We still want comments on this.
Yeah, true.
Do we
Yeah.
though? No, I don't care.
True.
Everybody swear.
Yeah, Bessie is not gonna take any shits from Sasha or Grime. Maybe Sasha.
Like,
Be
we
like,
have an episode of just like
they track their mud into the house, and Bessie just walks behind them, wiping it up off the floor as they walk. Or
we just have like
something.
11 minutes of Bessie like asserting her dominance over the planner residents.
Bessie T-posing.
Like Sasha, like
How would
she,
that even work? Like a snail T-posing.
Bessie literally like stands up, and that's when we know like shit's gonna go down.
Sasha starts hearing boss music.
You guys just made me realize that I needed a Bessie and Sasha episode. Ah, man, that's an episode I actually really want to see now.
Like, it wouldn't need any dialogue. It would just be Bessie like, it'd be Sasha trying to like do the same act that she's done ever since she came into Amphibia, and then like you finally have a character who just doesn't like give a
Yes,
shit. Who just happens to be Bessie.
yes, and like Bessie. I think Bessie knows what happened with Toad Tower, right? I'm pretty sure. Because I feel like
Probably.
So,
yeah, I feel like the planters would probably not hold that information from Bessie because she is their pet, and like she can tell, like they can tell her whatever story they can because Bessie wouldn't speak back.
Bessie's a good listener.
Yeah, Bessie
And
is
that's
a
why
good
we love her.
listener. Yeah, and also like. I actually really also like the idea of like the planter underground. Going back to the topic, I also like the idea of the planter underground being like Sasha and Grimes' lair for their rebellion. Yeah.
It's their bat cave.
Yeah, something like that. Because they have the science there, they have the weaponry, and they also have like the studies that they need. I feel like
It feels like a perfect like stronghold, which I feel like that's what the planner home used to be when Marcy mentioned like how old it was.
Oh yeah, Yeah, I have no doubts this is going to play a part in season 3 sooner rather than later. I have no doubt. It's definitely it's definitely going to come back eventually.
But I guess I think we've covered everything we've needed to say. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, any last any final thoughts? I think we've covered
No.
everything.
Yeah, I guess so. Like,
Good episode. Possible dealings in the future, and
mhm.
yeah,
There's
Yeah.
actually
So,
sorry.
oh, go
I
ahead,
was gonna
Lemur.
say I was actually gonna say like there's really not much to say about these episodes.
Yeah, because we haven't really seen maybe the possible payoff of Family Shrub just yet. So I'm hoping
Yes.
we do get some sort of payoff. Otherwise, if
it's just
season 3,
another episode.
yeah, that's the thing. If we don't get any kind of follow up on this, then we're just going to look back at this episode, and think what could have been, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But
I
go ahead, Lemur. I'm dying.
no. I was gonna say just yeah.
Yeah, that's all you can
Yeah.
do for now. Just yeah.
Yeah. E.
Mm.
So I think that pretty much concludes this week's podcast. Thanks, guys, for coming on to share your thoughts. And
You're
then
Problem.
welcome.
next week we'll be covering Lily Pad Thai, and Planner's Last Stand. Interesting.
The last
Batch.
episode before
Ooh,
the
yeah.
mid-season finale.
Yes.
The one that actually everyone is waiting for.
Yeah. Well, if you stuck by for if you stick by for Croaking punishment and cracking Miss Croaker, you get automatic dibs on like future episodes.
I'll plan to.
The early guests gotta be rewarded. The season 1 guests have to be rewarded for their.
Yes. All right. I'll be
But
there
yep.
for Grubhub Day as well because I want to hear your thoughts about that one.
Oh yes. All right. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye. See ya.
See ya.